Welcome back to the Grit to Glow podcast. I'm your host, Naomi, and I am so excited to dive into this brand new series with you today called The In Between. This is episode 1. But before we dig in, I want to share how this series actually came to be because it didn't come from just a brainstorm session that I had, it came from a conversation. So I was in an audio mentorship sesh with my mentor recently, and we were talking about patterns that I've seen over and over again in my own life, in my business, in the women I work with. And what kept coming up was this question of results versus reality. How so many women want the outcome, they want the income, they want the time freedom, they want the impact, but they struggle to stay present in the part that actually creates it, the middle. This is what I call the in between. So, as we talked, it became very clear to me that this space, that in between and middle, is where most people either become who they're meant to be or they quit. And it's often not because they aren't capable or they aren't smart. It's because no one prepared them for how repetitive and quiet and identity shaping entrepreneurship really is. So, this series is literally all about that. This is the work that no one claps for. Okay. This is the reps that no one sees. It's the decisions that you make when it would be much easier to just stop or pivot or start something new. So, in today's episode, I want to talk about one simple but very confronting idea: why most women want the result but aren't willing to stay with the repetitions required to create it, right? It's why the middle feels harder than the beginning. It's why day 2 is harder than day 1. And it's why staying is actually a skill that changes everything for you. So if you're listening to this and you know deep down that you're meant for more, but you've also found yourself in this really frustrated or confused state, or maybe you're questioning, like, why aren't things moving faster for me? This episode is for you. So I guess really I want to start with this. Most women don't fail because they aren't capable. They fail because they don't stay, right? And, in normal terms, that's just the fact that they quit, right? And if you've ever thought to yourself, I know I'm made for more. I can feel it in my bones. I just don't understand why this isn't happening faster. I want you to clearly hear me. There's nothing wrong with you. And there might be something that you haven't been willing to stay inside of long enough. Okay? Everyone loves the idea. Everyone loves the idea of a business, right? Everyone loves the idea of the outcome inside business, but very few people love to do what it takes to, the requirement that it takes for those two things to connect, to breed outcome from idea. And that repetition, it can be boring, right? It can be humbling, it can be gritty, and it can be lonely. And it sure shit does not care about your motivation. So I want to share with you something personal to me, and it's something that I've been reflecting a lot on. When I was building my business, there was a season in the beginning. So I started my VA business in December 2023. And for probably the first 6 months of my business, I applied to a minimum of 10 roles a day. 10 every single day. And it wasn't just for a week or when I felt inspired or when I just finally got a hit of validation and got a client to sign with me. No, I did it after rejections, after silence and crickets. I did it even when I already had momentum because I understood something that a lot of people don't. Momentum is built after you're tired, not before. So the illusion that I see people living in again and again, and I think this is really where like your edge comes in if you're someone who's like me. It's like women say they want the life, they want the money, they want the freedom, but what they really want is the version where the magic happens and where the work stops being required halfway through. Okay? They want the magic, but they want the work to stop happening. They want the result without the residue. Like they don't want the sticky shit. And that's just not how reality works. The in between is that place. It's the place where you don't feel confident yet, but yet you move away. You move. You don't feel validated, but you show up. You don't see the proof yet, but you keep your word anyway. That in between is literally where your identity is being forged. This isn't about being like, oh, flashy or announcing yourself or like branded or anything. Like, you're being forged in fire. Okay. I think the part about this that stings a little, most people quit on day 2, not day 1. Because day 1 is exciting, right? Day 1 is full of possibilities. Day 1 has novelty. And day 2 is where you start to have like that requirement of self-trust. Day 3 is devotion. Day 90 requires an identity that's like, it's no longer negotiable. You're either going to sink or swim here, right? And I think this is really where urgency gets misunderstood. High urgency women like me, like you, they're not frantic. They're not chaotic, and they're not hustling out of this fear of what if, right? It's this embodiment of moving quickly because you trust yourself so deeply to adapt to whatever you immerse yourself in. It's not waiting for like the perfect condition or romanticizing rest as a way to like avoid what you have to do. No, you understand that delay has a cost. So I want to ask you something. I want you to answer it honestly too. Like, this isn't for me, this is for yourself. Are you tired? Or are you avoiding the version of yourself that stays when it stops being exciting? I'm going to ask that one more time. When things feel gritty or hard in your business, are you actually tired? Or are you avoiding the version of yourself that stays when it stops being exciting? Because they're definitely not the same thing. So the women who are winning, it's not because they're more motivated. Like, I remember a point in my journey when I was doing direct sales where I was like, man, that lady, she is not doing anything differently than me. How does she have the 6-figure business? Shame on me. What am I doing wrong? That's not the case. This woman had run her business for 8 fucking years. It's like, how are you comparing apples and oranges, Naomi? Come on. The women who win aren't more motivated. They're more committed to the middle and doing the reps when no one's watching. They keep the promises to themselves. They show up long after that dopamine hit of like excitement on day 1 fades away, right? And it's eventually, not accidentally, that the results then meet them. So this podcast series, I'm so freaking excited to dive in with you because it's not going to be for everyone, okay? As we dig in these next it'll probably be like 6-8 weeks, okay? We're really going to dig deep into different aspects of the in between. And I want you to know something. My goal with this series is to make it for the women who know that nothing meaningful is built linearly. That you live in the in between as you grow. But what it takes is exercising this muscle and learning to not flinch when your business, your life, insert like whatever thing that you're working towards is asking more of you. Okay? You have a beautiful gift. And likely you have this calling on your heart, and it's like you feel intuitively into who you are. You always have. You know that your gift is there somewhere, that you are meant to breed impact and change lives in your time on this planet. Like, you've known that for a long time now. And if you keep inching your way to the success that you've been craving and you still keep hitting that wall and you're like, nope, this ain't it. I'm going to move to the next thing. Nope, this ain't it. I'm going to move to the next thing, right? It's like, maybe there's also some magic in being in the messy middle. Maybe you can start challenging yourself to see that the repetitions, you're not putting in enough reps, right? It's like when you go to the gym, you don't expect to get crazy biceps overnight. Your business is not the same. Your business is the same. It's not going to be this, oh, I'm going to get online and create a brand and launch it, and tomorrow I'm going to be a 6-figure business owner. I think next week I might make 7 figures with zero experience, zero hot audience. Like, no. Put in the repetitions. It's that good old-fashioned saying, Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So if today's conversation felt confronting for you instead of motivating, I want you to clock that. That's good. That means you're close and that you are doing the work, but there are small gaps that you can choose to move through to be exactly where you want to be. And I want you to sit with this. I want you to ask yourself where you've been negotiating with the middle instead of mastering it. Because the work that you're avoiding is typically the work that changes everything. And if you're still here listening, you're probably already one of us. So I will see you next week. We're going to dig in super deep next week in episode 2 of this series to something very near and dear to my heart. And I can't wait to chat with you more. Then episode 2 is going to be all about high urgency is not hustle, it's self-trust. So we're really going to talk through this conversation with a core question in mind of what if urgency isn't actually panic, but clarity. I'll see you next week.